It's our turn, episode number 79, Spaceships and Jellybeans. In this episode, I talk about the games I've played recently, and I interview Janice Turner of Wren Games about her new game and winning the first ever Jellybean Game Scholarship for game designers.
This is the Dice Tower Network, adding games to your wish list since 2005.
Hosting for this episode is generously provided by our fantastic supporters on Patreon.com. If you'd like to help us out by pledging $1 per month or more, please visit patreon.com/OurTurnPodcast. Every dollar helps us to keep this show going strong. Hi, and welcome back to Our Turn. I'm Cathy Ford. Today it is once again just me to talk to you, but I've got some fun new games to tell you about, and then I have an interview with Janice Turner. I want to start off by saying that Mark and I had a great time at KublaCon this year. I ended up playing 3 games of Terraforming Mars, Power Grid, 7 Wonders, and Photosynthesis, along with the 2 other games I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute. I also had a chance to briefly talk with Eric from What's Eric Playing, Annette from Netter's Plays, John Sondow, who runs some fun Twitter handles involving Star Trek, and Ambi from Board Game Blitz. Sadly, though we tried, we never got to play any games together this year. They talked to me while I was involved with the game, and then I'd talk to them while they were involved in a game. The stars just did not align to let us sit down together over a game. But that being said, I want to go ahead and tell you about the first game. This was actually about the 3rd game that I played at KublaCon, and it is called Pax Renaissance. This is a trading in the Mediterranean card drafting game by Phil and Matt Eklund and published by Sierra Madre Games. I got to play this at KublaCon with a gentleman named Natty Hoffman. Hi, Natty. In this game, you're playing Renaissance bankers who are trying to fund kings and popes and run the economies of Europe during the Renaissance. On your turn, you have 2 actions, and your options are to acquire cards in a market, sell them out of the game, or play them into your tableau. You can also stimulate the economy by running trade fairs and trading voyages for Oriental goods. That's how you replenish your money supply. I give this game a 3.75 on the OTP rating scale. Now, let me explain. I actually enjoyed this game quite a bit. The rules were a bit tedious to learn, but once you understood them, the game was easy to play. The thing that dropped it from a 4 to a 3.75 is that it's easy to miss when someone wins the game. There are win conditions based on what you're shooting for. You acquire different leaders under your influence. Some types of leaders require that you have 3 or more. One, the monarchs, I think, only requires that you have 2. However, when my opponent collected his second monarch, which is supposed to end the game right then, he didn't even notice that he'd won. I had to point it out to him. The game is engaging enough that you just want to keep going and keep playing even when the win conditions are already met. I've only encountered this a couple of times and thought it was a little strange. To me, achieving a game's win conditions should be a time to celebrate, not something that gets overlooked. Anyway, Pax Renaissance is a good game. I think if it had a step to review at the end of every turn so you can see, have the win conditions been met, that would have solved the problem. However, the rules stated that as soon as the win conditions were met, the game ends. Nobody gets a further turn. It just, boom, that's it. Like I said, it was a good game. I would happily play it again. I'm not sure that it's one that I'm planning to add to my own collection, but I did have a good time, and I had a great time playing with Natty. We played 2 games together. We played Photosynthesis and Pax Renaissance, and I had a great time. The second game I'm going to tell you about is, now don't roll your eyes, Firefly Adventures, Brigands and Browncoats. I know. Cathy's talking about Firefly again. This isn't the same game. This is Firefly Adventures, Brigands and Browncoats. It is from Gale Force 9 and the same designers who created my beloved Firefly game. But this game comes at the verse from a different angle. Instead of flying around in space, you're down on the planet misbehaving. This is a game for 1 to 5 players, and it allows players to control 1 to 5 of the characters, who are Mal, Zoe, Wash, Jane, or Kaylee. Expansions will add Inara, Shepherd Book, River, and Simon later, and they're coming out in 2 separate expansions. There is also an option where one of the players can be the goons boss, so the bad guys that you're fighting against, and that player controls the bad guys. However, if you don't have someone take that option, then the game runs the bad guys. So you've got a job to do, and you have to do it before time runs out. Each job has a set amount of moments. If you don't complete the job before you run out of time, then the crew loses. Each action you take requires that you spend a certain number of moments. So a moment is no specific set amount of time. It's not a second, it's not a minute, it's not an hour, it's a moment. This was a fun and intense game experience. We won, but just barely by the skin of our teeth. In fact, I kind of had to say, you know what? For a learning game and a first-time play, I'm going to say, yes, we won. Because it was close. It was so close that we were just sitting there going, I don't know, did we win or did we lose? Because there were some questions that weren't answered in the rule book and we couldn't find in the FAQs on Board Game Geek or on the Firefly website for Gale Force 9. I played this game at KublaCon with Larry, Lindsay, Mike, and Tessa. Hi, everybody. Our job this time was to tap into a Cortex terminal and steal some information and cash before we were discovered by the goons that set up the tap originally to steal from one of the head goons. We managed to succeed and get back to the mule before time ran out, but it was a squeaker. And we had, like I said, some unresolved questions at the end of the game. So I need to replay the game, the same scenario, so I can recall what the issues were. I didn't have a chance to write anything down, write down the questions. I, of course, just figured, I'll remember this. Nope. I can remember maybe a couple of things, but nothing I want to go into here because, yeah, my memory's a little sketchy. Anyway, darn, I'll have to play it again. Aw, shucks. All in all, I'm giving this game an initial rating of 4.5. If the questions get answered, I'm sure that will go up. This game is done very well. It incorporates the symbology from the board game. The board in this game is made up of 3D pieces, including the bottom half of the box. They all look like buildings that you're breaking into, both outside and inside. The roofs are missing so you can see what's inside. That seems quite innovative to me for a board game. I have some photos of the board in the show notes. You can see them if you go to ourturnpodcast.com/episode 79. As I said, I give Firefly Adventures, Brigands and Browncoats a 4.5 on the OTP scale. Check it out. And that's what I've been playing. We have set up and been referring to and rating games by our own rating scale. Here's how we are using this scale. 5. Buy this now. 4. A good solid game. 3. Decent with some bugs. 2. Has great potential as kindling. And 1. Give me back the time I spent playing it. for the interview, I am joined by Janice Turner from Wren Games. Janice and her husband, Stu, are the designers of a new game coming soon to Kickstarter called Assembly. Janice is also the winner of the very first Jellybean Games Scholarship. Janice, welcome to Our Turn.
Hi, Cathy. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, my pleasure. So tell me about yourself and what got you interested in game design.
I started game design a couple of years ago, and I guess don't let anyone tell you can't start a new hobby while on maternity leave, because that's exactly what I did. So my husband and I have been playing board games for several years, and I just sort of dreamt up an idea for a game one night in those sleepless early nights with a young baby, and couldn't resist writing it down. So wrote it all down, managed to get to sleep, and then it sat there for a few weeks, and then I sort of said to Stu one day, "Oh, have I had this idea for a game?" And he said, "Well, go on then. Give it a go, write it up." And that was the start of us designing games. I mean, the first round wasn't that great. It was overly complex. But after a lot of iterations, it's got to something that's quite playable. And I've been sort of, if I'm not playing games or looking after children or eating or sleeping or going to work, I seem to be designing games at the moment, which is great. I love it.
Wow, cool. You said you and your husband were playing games before you started designing them. What game got you into the gaming hobby?
Probably, not unsurprisingly, it was Pandemic. It was our first game. It was a really sort of funny coincidence that I'd been hearing all this stuff about board games at work. So I work in engineering, so there's lots of geeks around where I work. And my husband, unknown to me, had also been researching about board games as well. And I said one night when I came home, "What's all this about board games?" And he said, "Luckily you said that." And the next day, Pandemic had arrived. So
nice.
That night we sat down and we played it, and again, and the next night, and the next night. And about 2 weeks later, we decided to buy all the expansions that we could find. And we definitely got our money's worth out of those. And they're still in our collection today.
Nice.
Yeah, that was our very first modern board games, I'll say. We're both fans of board games as children. And even though we're at opposite ends of the country, we both actually played the same board games as children. And things like CD Adventure were things that stick out in both of our minds. Although he had a brother to play with it, I had to play it on my own.
Oh, so tell me, do you ever find yourself like looking for those games from your childhood on eBay?
I resisted it, actually. We have a few in our loft, actually, in a box that we just haven't got the courage to get rid of. So I was given a really old Monopoly set by my nan. So she found one in a bazaar, which was from like the 1920s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she bought that for me, and I've still got that today. And it's more, I think, the memory attached to it with my nan than anything else. But that was like one of my early board games, and this lovely 1920s Quality Street chocolates tin with all the components in there, and this old warp board. But we've still got some of them, which we just if you sell them, you'll get nothing for them. You can give them to a charity shop, but they'll probably just get lost. But no, we keep them.
Yeah, I do too. And I have them on display in my collection, and people look at them and go, "Why do you have that?" And I tell them, because I have happy memories of playing that as a child. And they're like, "Oh, okay, I see. All right." Tell me about the Jellybean Scholarship. What is that?
So it's a scholarship that's the aim is to, I think, get more female designers into the board game industry. So I get the opportunity to work with Cardboard Edison. I send them a prototype and they play it. They do blind play testing for me. We sit down on Skype and we talk about whatever either design challenges that I want to cover or what I need to look at for developing, or what they think, what their opinions are of the game, and I guess their feedback on it. So it's a way to get, I guess, high quality blind play testing, which isn't always easy to do. You can get online, it's a bit hit and miss, and getting out and about with two young children is quite difficult. So we've tried that. We have gone to board game cafes with young children, and it's a bit of a put off for playtesters, I'll tell you that. So it's a way to get some good high quality blind play testing for female or aspiring female board game designers, and just got the Maiden Voyage, which is the game that's got sent over to them. Got notice that it arrived a few days ago, so I've been a little slow off the mark getting it to them, but I wanted to iterate it so I got the best possible value out of this few sessions that I get with Cardboard Edison, with Chris and Suzanne.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So you have a game coming to Kickstarter called Assembly, which is not the game you sent to Jellybean Games.
No, it's a different one.
So tell me about Assembly.
So Assembly is, I guess, slightly less ambitious, it might be the way to put it. Is my first design, which is the Maiden Voyage, is quite ambitious. It's like a 60-minute crossover between a Euro and an Ameritrash game with multiple event dats, random events, lots and lots of balancing. So it's obviously taking a lot longer. Assembly was my idea to get something which I could actually finish and complete, and also being within the time constraints of a parent. So trying to play test something that can take 60 to 90 minutes when you get a nap time of about 60 to 90 minutes means that you can't get that iteration in there. But Assembly takes sort of 15 to 20 minutes to play, and it's I'd say a thematic puzzle game. Story is really, really important to me in games, so you could strip the story out of Assembly, but to me it needs it. That's what games need. And it sounds very simple. I think talking about it, I struggle a bit without having the visuals there, because I can make it sound so dry and dull in case. But you have a set of commands, and you have an AI which is trying to stop you succeeding. So you're on a space station, a virus has broken out, it's killed everyone, but you and possibly a friend have somehow survived. You've got some immunity, and you want to get off this before you die, essentially, because it's going to be quarantined, and you don't want to be there on your own. But the computer has a routine. It's quarantined. Nobody leaves because it doesn't want the virus escaping. And so it's working against you for good intents, and good. It's got good intents there, but you don't want to be there. So you've got to try and get off. But all the spaceships have been destroyed. The AI has been relatively clever. She's undocked them all. She's sent them all off. And you think, well, how can I get off? But fortunately, it's a spaceship factory. And there's a spaceship half built in one of the hangar bays. So off you go into the hangar bay, and you go off and you assemble your spaceship. And that's where Assembly comes in. You've got to assemble your ship to escape. And you do that by having there's cards in the shape of a clock face, which are your requirements. So that's how you've got to build your ship. And you have to build it in that way to launch. Otherwise, it's not going out the door because it's not met the requirements. And then you manipulate the room modules around to match these cards, and you've got a limited set of commands. You can't just say, well, this one's here, let's move it 2 spaces to the left and not move anything else. No, you move everything when you're rotating, or you swap between 2 room modules, or you get some more onto the assembly line, but you're limited by what's in your hand, and only what's in your hand. And so there is an element of planning, but there's also an element of randomness. And just as you think you're doing really well, you get to the end of the deck, and the computer goes, aha, I know what you're doing. And she changes the requirements and shuffles everything up. So anything that's not locked down, that's it. It's getting moved, it's getting changed, and you're going to have to start again. And you get 3 rounds to complete it. If you don't complete it in 3 rounds, that's it, game over, you're dead. If you do complete it, you have a chance to escape. And whether that's a good thing or not, be up to you to decide.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like a good challenge too.
Yeah. So a lot of the feedback we've been having is that it's a very enjoyable challenge, it's for 1 and 2 players, but you can play it with either.
Okay. Now,
sorry, baby's just coming.
Huh?
I have a baby smiling at me.
Do you have a date for the start of your Kickstarter campaign yet?
Yeah, we're launching on the 24th of May, just after lunch in UK time, and that's perfectly timed because both kids should be asleep.
Nice. So what prompted you to go the Kickstarter route rather than shopping it around to publishers?
So we've been talking with publishers for the Maiden Voyage. We're still talking with publishers on the Maiden Voyage, but at the same time, my background is engineering, manufacturing, project management, product management, and I really enjoy it. And the Kickstarter campaign was pulling all those things together, and it's just something that I'd really like to do, I guess, for me, so I can try and complete something and do it as a whole. And Stu was really enthusiastic about doing it too, and so we decided that let's give it a go and see how it goes. And I'm doing it because I enjoy this sort of thing. I enjoy the business aspect as well as the game design.
That's a great reason to do it.
So why not? And it's not sort of over my head and sort of terribly scary. The scariest bit is about whether we're going to fund or not and have we got enough of a crowd behind us. But the actual mechanics of getting quotes, talking to suppliers, checking quality, running a project, I've been doing that for 10 years. So that's just sort of part of the course.
Nice. Okay. Now, you won the Jellybeans scholarship with a game called Maiden Voyage. Any idea when that will be ready for publication?
That all really depends on how much time I get to keep going on it. I think my tentative aim would be early 2018, would be where I'd want it to be finished, and 2019, wrong years. Yeah, so in early 2019, that should give me enough time to finalise it. So it's been through 3 rounds of blind play testing already, so it is quite advanced. It's just, I want to get it right. There's so much going on in there that I want to make sure every element in there needs to be in there and it's the best that it can be. I don't want it to feel like, oh, this bit here is a bit boring or this is a bit rough. And again, it's very much related to story, so it's about making sure everything relates to the story and the theme of the game, that it all makes sense. So yeah, hopefully in sort of 6 to 9 months time, I'd hope to have that one ready.
Nice. Any idea which publishing route you'll take for that game?
Not yet. So it's going to be, I think, depend on how well we do with Assembly on Kickstarter and what offers we get from publishers. So
okay.
Yeah, we're waiting. It's a bit more complex, thinking maybe publisher might be a better route, as in it's got more components. By more complex is by what I mean, and it's going to have a higher box value on it. But if Assembly goes well and we got a way forward, then maybe we'll self-publish that too.
Nice. So how can people get in touch with you online?
So online, we're on Twitter. I've got my personal Twitter account is @Dravin, DRAVVIN. And then there's also @Wren Games, and Wren is with a W, WREN. We're on Instagram, Wren Games, and we're also on Facebook, which is /The Maiden Voyage BG. And that's our sort of company Wren Games page with all the latest updates. And then finally, obviously, we've got our website, which is www.wrengames.co.uk.
Nice. And we will have links to all of those in our show notes. So check out our show notes to just be able to click on all those. So thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you very much for talking to me. It's been a blast.
Oh, good. Good luck with your Kickstarter campaign. I hope you'll come back and join me on the show again sometime.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I'd love to do that.
Today's episode is sponsored by BoardGameTables.com. This is Cathy. For the last few months, you have heard Sarah and I talk wistfully about our sponsor, BoardGameTables.com. That's because we don't currently own one of their fine products. Yet. Well, I'm happy to say that Mark and I were able to save up some money and have ordered our own table from BoardGameTables.com. Now, I want to be clear. This is a purchase made with our own money, not something our sponsor is sending to us. We are putting our money where our mouth is. I cannot convey how excited I am to get this table into our game room. Mark and I live in an apartment with our 2 dogs. Everything in our home needs to be small and compact to fit into the rooms we have here. So a traditional rectangular board game table was not going to work for us. That's okay. BoardGameTables.com heard from people like us and made a model to fit into our home too. We ordered their hexagonal table with a topper on it so it can double as a dining table and keep curious and nimble dogs from eating game components we left set up. Yes, Sadie has done this. Our copy of Big Book of Madness has not recovered. We also ordered a cup holder for each place. We ordered the red oak wood with a Carrington stain and speed blue for the cloth on the gaming surface. The table has a pedestal instead of legs, so seating around the table will be easy and comfortable. I really cannot wait to get this table delivered and set up. Because these tables are custom made, it will be a few months before it gets here. When it does, you can be sure I'll post some pictures and tell you all about it. Until then, please consider getting your own custom gaming table from BoardGameTables.com. And don't forget to tell them you heard about it from listening to Our Turn. Now we're getting to the end of the episode. I know this one has been a little bit shorter than we normally put out. That's what happens when it's just me talking to you. Usually when I have other people on here, we just can't stop talking about the games that we're playing. So anyway, what am I looking forward to in the next couple of weeks? Well, this coming weekend, my friend Lexi, hi Lexi, has requested that for her birthday, could she please come over and play Firefly, the board game, with me and Mark and some other friends of ours. Darn. What am I going to tell Lexi about that? Yes, of course, she can come over and play Firefly with us. In fact, we're having enough people that I think we're not going to be able to have it here at our little tiny apartment. We're going to have to go to a pizza parlor or something to sit down and play. But that should be tons of fun. I mean, who doesn't love pizza and board games? That's going to be a great time. And yes, these people are responsible enough to wipe their fingers before they reach for my cards, which are all sleeved anyway. But they're all excellent gamers, and I'm looking forward to getting together with them on Saturday to play Firefly. The other thing that I'm looking forward to is that Mark and I are going off to another con in not this weekend, but the following weekend. We're going up to Reno, Nevada for RageCon. And so I have never been to that con before, and I am looking forward to it. I always enjoy a trip to Reno, but the con is being held in a hotel on the Reno Strip that does not have any gambling in it. It doesn't have a casino. It used to have a casino. It used to be Fitzgerald's casino on the Strip. Again, this is in Reno, not in Vegas. I guess that casino went bust or something. Somebody bought it and they turned it into a non-gaming hotel. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Fitzgerald's, the old Fitzgerald's has changed and what they're doing with it. And hopefully we'll have lots of nice felted tables to play board games on, but we'll see. We'll see. I've never been to this con before, so I am looking forward to it. Anyway, so what have you got on tap? I hope you will tell me on Twitter. My Twitter handle there is Our Turn Podcast. Sarah Reed is at Origins right now as we speak. Well, not right now. She's in Columbus, Ohio right now. Origins actually starts in another day or two from this recording. And she and Will are back there. They're visiting some friends first, and then they're going to Origins. They're going to meet with some people about some games they've made. They're going to check out Origins. They're going to play a ton of games. I am so jealous. I hope they have a total blast. Anyway, so when Sarah comes back, we will hear about her trip to Origins. She also runs our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/OurTurnPodcast. So go check that out. We also have our guild on BoardGameGeek.com, which is guild number 2600. I hope you'll check that out too. In the meantime, that's it for now. On behalf of the entire Our Turn podcast team, that was our turn. Now it's yours. Thank you for listening. This episode was recorded on June 11th, 2018, and is written and produced by Cathy Ford with assistance from Janice Turner and Mark Ford. Next time, we will discuss games with mythical creatures. We want and encourage your questions, comments, and feedback. Please call 916-426-2873 and leave us a short voicemail or send an email to feedback@ourturnpodcast.com. Our theme music was composed by Adriana Crickle. Incidental music was provided by Ben Sound. Please check out our show notes to learn more about these talented artists. The material in this episode is copyrighted under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. If you want to learn more about the games discussed in this episode, please visit our website at ourturnpodcast.com/episode 79. You can find a list of the games along with links to their listing on BoardGameGeek.com. We are proud members of the Dice Tower Network. You can find out about other shows in the network like the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, Ludology, or the Dice Tower by going to dicetowernetwork.com. Thank you for your support. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends about us.